This guy decides to get a chip installed in his brain, and it has people in the comments wondering why. Let's look at this video, and y'all pay attention to this guy, how he reacts, how he responds, his body language, and his facial expressions. Just pay attention.
And do you have any side effects?
No, I don't have any side effects.
Do you have any?
I don't have any.
Can you feel it?
I can't feel it. I was able to do it, and then I did it.
And how long did that take you?
That took me about a week.
And then you went home and...
I practiced at home.
And so what do you think the biggest benefit of this is?
The biggest benefit is that it's going to help people with spinal cord injuries and people with Parkinson's disease and people with epilepsy and people with depression, anxiety, and all these different things. I could still move the mouse with my mind.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I had. It's actually pretty cool.
Is it like a chip?
It's a small chip, yeah.
Wow, cool.
So I'm curious about the device itself, the actual, how long did it take you to get used to it?
It was a process, it took a few months to really get comfortable with it, but now it's just part of me in my head.
Can you show us?
Can you show me where?
Right here. So the future is going to be amazing. We're going to be able to do so much more.
Here's my question. If this chip is going to be able to help people with spinal cord injuries, anxiety, depression, my question is, since you got the chip installed in your brain, do you have any of those things? Because what it seems to me is you don't have any of those things. So how do you know that getting that chip installed in your brain is going to help those things? On top of that, his responses, nah. Y'all better pay attention, man. They showing you what they about to do. They showing you who they are. It's right here in front of our faces. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like and follow for more.
I can see a lot of people are eating this up online, but I have to call it out when I see it. It's AI, straight up. AI just hasn't quite mastered the art of human expression yet, and it really comes through in the conversations here as well as the facial expressions, not to mention the false claims that are clearly made up.
It's a lot worse than we thought. Spanish officials now estimate that nearly 50,000 migrants crossed into the city of Ceuta from Morocco in the last 24 hours alone. That's a nearly 60% increase of the city's 83,000 population in less than a day. At least 18 people have died with bodies found in the water. The Spanish military has been deployed. Authorities on the ground say that the border is now totally collapsed. So why the hell is this all happening now? Well, firstly, if you look at the map, the Spanish city in question is actually on the African continent. So these migrants haven't swam all the way across the Strait of Gibraltar. But interestingly, entering by swimming is kind of important because earlier this month, Spain's Supreme Court ruled that immediate deportations can only be applied to migrants who cross by land, like climbing over a physical border fence. Meaning migrants intercepted while swimming cannot be removed without due process, legal representation, and the ability to claim asylum. Now, is that what has caused this latest surge? Well, it's disputed. Officials believe it could be one influencing factor, but not the sole reason, because also many yesterday crossed by land as well. But what happens now to these 49,000 people? Well, Spain say that they intend to deport as many people as quickly as possible despite the Supreme Court's ruling, but other countries seem to believe that the damage may have already been done. France announced an increase in security at their border with Spain, while Italy is threatening to suspend Spain from EU's internal open border policy. But as we know more, I'll keep you guys updated.
We've all seen the news by now, we have all seen the back and forth theories by now, nothing is as it seems as per usual. Let's move on.
So this anonymous guy has been dumping tons of bird feed outside of this one specific apartment building at 4 in the morning for the past 2 years. And although it always wakes up all the residents, to this day, no one can figure out who he is or why he does this. These poor residents live in this regular building in Burwood, Australia, and as this one guy puts it, I'm always tired because I'm always being woken up every single morning. Since the massive amounts of food attracts all the birds in the area, it's like getting blasted with an 110 decibel alarm clock, which is louder than a rock concert. But to make matters even more confusing, the guy doesn't even stay and watch the birds, he just comes from who knows where, drops off the food and leaves, rain, hail, or shine. To add insult to injury, after eating, these birds then poop so much everywhere that some residents have even had to start carrying umbrellas outside. But despite putting up no bird feeding signs, the masked stranger, who has been dubbed the Birdman, never listens and has actually rarely missed a day. When the angry residents finally contacted the local news, who then tried confronting the Birdman, he didn't say a single word and just kept throwing food. Although there's technically no law in Australia that makes it illegal to feed birds, the police are now investigating to see what they can do.
That has to be one of the most bizarre starts to the show we have had, I have to say. I'm all for feeding birds, but not like this. He must be angry with someone. Somebody cut a 5-pointed star into a peninsula in Kazakhstan and the internet has decided it means something, apparently. Did anyone else actually take a little look at the shape first?
You know it's getting bad when a farmer said he hasn't seen a single bee nearby since a data center was built. But now it's getting outright dystopian that another Texas farmer claimed every calf since a data center arrived has been stillborn, meaning they have no signs of life. Clayton Tucker, who is running for Texas Agriculture Commissioner, shared the rancher's story at a public meeting. They believe the low-frequency hum and vibration from a nearby energy facility are causing his cows to now sleep by the road. A similar story comes from Bell County, Texas. Fowler Farms reports that since the construction of a $700 million data center within 5 miles of his property, it's emitting constant noise, including low-frequency sound that's audible to animals but not humans. He says this is preventing them from breeding and can cause grown cattle to lose roughly 30% of body weight. The scariest part is the fact that we still don't have any long-term studies on the impact of these EMFs and data centers on animals. But what's become undeniable is the new hyperscaling of data centers is putting real strain on rural land, water, and power systems. Just in Texas, nearly 2 million acres and 20,000 farms have disappeared in just 5 years, with that number growing every single day. It's up to consumers to help put a stop to this. It has to start with supporting our local farmers, so you can use the localized farmers market app to connect with these local producers.
If that's what's actually happening to animals, imagine what it's doing to us.
You won't believe how dirty these kid shows have become. So as these kids are sitting down, watch when this kid gets up. As these kids get up, remember, they're kids. This is what the animators left as their print. Girls' print is pretty normal. But look what they did with the boys' print. And I both know what they were trying to imply with that. I feel like with animation, everything's intentional. How would they put something like that in a kid's show? Just be careful what you let your kids watch, because someone pushed an agenda here, and they probably thought none of us would notice. This is way too dark and too grown for children. As always, thank you for watching. Stay weird.
I just don't understand. I mean, I understand why they do it, and it's evil, but there are teams of people behind this, and not one of them pushing back is exactly what I don't understand.
Look at this. Look at bro. Look at all these. But look, watch this. I'm gonna show you guys something. Look, nobody in here, bro. Look, there's not even a line. There's nobody in the aisles, bro. Look at this. How do you explain all these cars out there, bro? And the store is empty. What the fuck? Crazy.
There must be something else going on here. Another store, a restaurant, a park even. That store was the most empty store I have ever seen though. I wish mine was like that.
Okay guys, breaking news. An abandoned rocket has just crashed into the moon. Yeah, here's what we know. So it's the upper stage of a rocket booster, which of course belongs to SpaceX. It weighs about 4 tons, pretty big, and it's the size of a 5-story building. And it's been drifting around in space for a full year now. Until today, traveling at about 5,400 miles per hour, which is 7 times the speed of sound, it crashed into the moon with the equivalent force of setting off about 3 tons of TNT. Pretty big. Now, NASA said that it's left a crater of about, 20 to 30 meters wide, which, considering the whole moon is full of craters, it's not that big of a deal. Now, instead of this being a major concern, like, oh my god, this is crazy, they kind of are just a little bit chill about it. They're saying that it offers scientists a chance to study how spaced debris, which is, becoming more prevalent up there, how it could pose a risk to astronauts, because obviously they're trying to build lunar bases now. So, we lived.
So the rocket that hit the moon was never a SpaceX one. That was, well, the first call, and it got corrected within weeks, with the object traced back to a Chinese launch instead. Apparently nobody bothered updating the clip, 3 tons of TNT and the wrong name on it. Not really a hidden symbol if we can all see it, is it?
This is right now, and this is not Maui. This is Washington. It's crazy how all these trees are standing, but the rims of the cars are melting. We've seen this before. But just wait until I show you what the news was saying not too long ago. So 60,000 people evacuated. 600 buildings burned down so far. It looks like the apocalypse over there. I mean, it's everything. We also know there's fires happening all over the world right now. So I'm going to throw some stuff up on the screen for you to look at with me. We have this picture right here of these rims melting and trees standing right beside. Now, we've already gone over all this and certain temperatures and stuff. I think everyone's caught up to speed now. Now, in the United States, we've already seen over 1,000 wildfires this year. And again, this is something recent, the last year or two, because we didn't usually see fires this extreme all the time, every day, every week, 5 years ago. But completely unrelated, the news actually posted a crazy story I think we should look at. It's completely unrelated to all this fire right now. Okay, now check this out. This is insane. You remember when they used to say that this thing right behind me was just some kind of theory, Well, check this out. By the way, again, it's completely unrelated, not relevant, totally different subject than what's happening in Washington right now.
It's got a live demonstration of directed energy weapons. He says the Pentagon intends to buy tens to hundreds of these in the coming years. It's the first known viewing of a directed energy weapon demonstration by a sitting War Secretary. So what are they? Directed energy weapons fire concentrated energy at the speed of light, and for years, intelligence officials working abroad have reported brain injuries known as Havana syndrome. The condition could be linked to directed energy weapons. And earlier this week, we spoke to Emmy Award-winning investigative journalist.
Oh, it's like Mountain Dew. That's pretty insane, is it not? Because they told us that whole thing didn't exist, and now they're putting it on the news. I wonder why, by the way. And also completely unrelated, again, not relevant to what's happening right now. They actually, just in Washington, blocked a new data center just recently. Not relevant.
I want to repeat, all of that not related at all, okay? But you guys already knew that.
A new rash on the right side of President Donald Trump's neck has people questioning his health. These images were taken during a Medal of Honor ceremony in the White House, but Trump's personal physician had an answer, telling CNN that the rash is caused by a cream he's using as a preventative skin treatment. They did not specify why Trump needed that treatment. The White House did not respond to questions about Trump's condition.
Yeah, you saw correctly, that's CNN covering a rash on the president. Absolute clown world.
Today we are looking at bacteria versus vinegar under the microscope. Will the bacteria survive? Let's find out. This is what the bacteria looks like before we add any vinegar. These bacteria are found in your sink, and they would make you sick. Let's add some vinegar to this slide. Have a look at this. A wave of vinegar passes through, and the most amazing thing happens. The bacteria are killed almost instantly. The vinegar destroys the bacteria structure. This makes it a pretty good cleaning solution. Let me know in the comments below what I should try next.
I could stare at this all day, which I find slightly worrying.
The Saturn conspiracy. There's a few weird things about Saturn. One is that its rings actually sing and make a sound frequency that sounds like this. Another weird thing is that it has a giant crazy hexagon on the north pole of the planet that sometimes emits aurora. I also recently found this interesting theory about how Earth may have once orbited Saturn. It's called the Saturn myth, and the idea is that Earth, along with Mars and Venus, was once a satellite of Saturn before a major cataclysm happened and caused the planets to now orbit the Sun. This theory is only based on ancient mythology about a golden age of humanity where there was a once advanced civilization that witnessed these drastic changes in our sky, but only a few survivors made it and passed this story down through generations. Now, there's almost no evidence to back this up, and some do consider it pseudo-history, but I think it's a pretty interesting idea. What do you guys think?
Saturn is probably one of the only things in this reality that truly stumps me. Nothing about it makes sense, and the further down the rabbit hole you go, the less it does, quite honestly. One day I will get myself a powerful enough telescope and look at the damn North Pole myself. It is my mission.
Something is going on with Ariana Grande, bro. Straight up. You seen the video, guys. People are saying that it's red paint. That it's okay. Something is up. She walked in the room. Everybody got excited. They started jumping for joy. Something is going on in that video, guys, and I know nothing about it. I don't know why she has red paint on her. People are saying that it could possibly be food coloring. Shut up. Something is up in that video, and something's been going on with Ariana Grande for a long time, guys. I can't figure this out. Nobody seems to figure it out. People are saying that she was replaced. What you mean to say is that she was replaced with a better version of herself. I'm not sure what's going on here, guys. Everything is red and black. Everything seems off in this video, guys. But of course, this is for entertainment purposes only. As always, guys, this is art. All right? Maybe they're doing an art show. Something is up. Of course, I don't know what it is. Let me know if you know what it is. I'm out.
A little context would have been nice as to where this had come from, so I filled in the gaps myself. Apparently, this is just part of her new music videos where she goes feral on a bunch of male movie producers with a chainsaw. I mean, take from that what you want.
Elon Musk said we have 5 years until the world gets taken over by AI and the world will effectively end as we know it now. Watch this.
In 5 years, we'll have probably, so 5 years being, say, 2031, I think digital intelligence will exceed the sum of all human intelligence. That there will be, in 5 years, probably, there might be let's say at least 100 million humanoid robots, but maybe a billion. Yeah. I would predict that the economy is probably twice its current size in 5, maybe 6 years. Even at 5 to 7 years. Because you're going to hit a doubling period, where the economic output is increasing so fast that plus minus a few years you will see giant changes.
To be clear, Elon did not say that the world is going to end. He said it could be the end of human control, and that is an understatement if you ask me.
So this dad bought a failing car wash one day and actually made it incredibly successful just by mainly hiring people with autism. It all started because John Dieri was really worried about his autistic 24-year-old son Andrew and was losing sleep over what would happen to him when he was no longer around. So since he knew that 85% of adults with autism end up unemployed, he just came up with the idea to start his own company to prove that autism can actually be a competitive advantage, not a disadvantage. Since many people with autism are really good with structured tasks, following processes, and attention to detail, John and his other son, Thomas, decided to buy a struggling car wash in Florida and hire people on the spectrum for 80% of their workforce. It was a lot of their first jobs ever, and since they were all incredibly grateful for the opportunity, they each brought a special kind of work ethic and passion in every single day. So even though a lot of people actually called John crazy at first, his new car wash was so successful that they ended up washing almost 5 times the number of cars as the previous year, and even opened up 2 more locations with the same values. John has since hired over 500 different people with autism, some who even become managers, and his son Andrew just couldn't be prouder to have inspired the whole thing.
What video are we going to do this weekend? Hopefully over 1,000.
He was frightened about what happens to his son, so he built something that outlasts him. And I suppose 5 times the cars and 500 hired, well, says that it worked. Most of us would just write a will, I guess. Hello and welcome back. If you're new to the show, my name is NEXOR, and my job is to basically take you down the rabbit hole, find the thread which sits in amongst all the noise and the static, extract it, and well, practice our discernment along the way. If you're into that, there's a hell of a lot more lined up. I'd ask you now, if you're really into this kind of stuff, hit subscribe. I'm trying to hit 180,000 subscribers before the end of this month. With how many of you are watching, which usually is 50% unsubscribed, or not not subscribed, however you should phrase it, we could hit that goal very, very easily. In fact, we could probably hit 200k by the end of the month if you were all to subscribe. But look, that's enough of me going on about stats and data. Let's crack on with the information.
Arkadaşlar hepinize merhaba. Şu kayayı görüyorsunuz değil mi? Şöyle bakın, normal bir kay. Tabii ben biraz yaklaştığım için ucu belli oldu. Şimdi şöyle yaklaşıyoruz. Bu kayanın içi çok büyük bir mezar alanı.
Of course, ancient civilizations knew things we don't, because apparently there wasn't a need to keep certain things secret from the general population like there is today.
They took the trees, the fruit trees, they took the trees and sold us back the fruit. Then they took the water, rivers, rain, springs that fed civilizations for thousands of years, bottled it and sold it back to us. They took the land that existed here long before any human drew lines around it. And they said, if you want to stand here, you better have a payment plan. Everything we need to exist, food, water, shelter, was already here. Nobody created it. But somehow you were born owing for it. Am I the only one this drives mad? I mean, why is a free life such a crazy idea? Why does simply existing without bills, debt, or permission sound like a fantasy? Why in the hell did we ever let anybody convince us that this is the way things were supposed to be?
It's as simple as that, but they tell you it's because human society is built on exchanging labor to secure scarce resources like food, water, and shelter, which are all things that came after this concept, by the way, so that doesn't hold up well, does it?
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Why are you doing this? So in India, there is a two-faced cow, and the locals are worshipping it as a god. Oh, you son of a ballbag. What would Jesus do? What would Muhammad say when they see you worshipping a cow? Now I know that everyone's got their own traditions and their own religions. But why is it that in India they have 33 million gods? Why can't you just pick one? Now I don't know if this is a birthing defect or a product of a cloning accident. But you can't just go around worshipping disabled animals, brother. I mean, just look at it. It looks like it came directly from Satan himself. You guys really know how to find good in any situation. So if there's any Indians out there, anyone that follows this religion, can you please tell me why you're worshipping the cow?
Actually, Hindu texts mention 33 primary types of divine forces, which popular culture later miscalculated as 33 million. I think this clip is a little ignorant. Look, it prints the fat and the muscle in separate passes, and whatever comes out of that was never an animal. Maybe not even food.
Mom, where were you? Why didn't you save?
I straight up thought this was something from a video game or some other type of fictional media, but no. It turns out this is 100% real. This TikTok video that I got tagged in shows an ominous, creepy-looking robot standing in a doorway, and it says, fun fact, they built 3 halves taller than a classic American door, just in case the robot lost control, it wouldn't be able to follow you inside the house. Now, as it turns out, 3 halves is a very real robotic centaur with a goat head and horns that stands approximately 7 feet tall, and it was developed for hazardous jobs like fighting wildfires, going through toxic chemicals, and exploring collapsed buildings. It is actually true that they made the robot unable to go through doorways, and they also, the creators of 3 halves, released a list of ways to incapacitate the robot just in case. That being said, the robot is controlled by a remote operator. It's not like there's some AI inside that's going to go rogue.
The fact that this is a real design is just nuts. And I know it's supposed to be a centaur, you know, but yeah, bizarre.
Anybody else find this strange? What happened to Lil Wayne? Does this even look like the same person to you? Because people are saying that this is a completely different person. I don't know what is going on, but when you look at a side-by-side comparison, the right side of your screen compared to the left side of your screen, what do you notice? Do you notice anything bizarre about this besides me? Because something definitely ain't right about any of this. You have to admit this. And again, why are all of these celebrities and these famous people, why are they looking different? What is going on anymore? Because this is the person I remember right here, Lil Wayne. This is the person I remember. And I'm sure that this is the person that most, if not all of you, remember. Again, people are saying that this isn't the same guy. That's what people are saying. What do you think? Do you think that this is the same person? Because you have to admit there are a lot of bizarre things happening anymore. And again, why are all of these famous people looking different? What is really going on? What do you think? Comment down below.
We have covered this, but the internet is still in a frenzy apparently. The missing tattoos are a result of the smartphone camera AI upscaling the video from a long distance and not being able to get the detail. So an image from 20 years ago and now are not comparable, period. Dare I say anything on this one? I don't think I need to. It's pretty black and white.
Here are some fun facts that are not fun, but you should still know about them. Well, Teletubbies is a cute, innocent show for kids, right? No! It's actually based on a mental institute in Bulgaria called La La Land. These kids were locked up for days and people forget to feed them. So Lala's real name was actually Tulip. Her face was so deformed that she looked like she was smiling. She was locked up for so long her face turned yellow, and that's why she was the yellow Teletubby. Next, we got the blue Teletubby based out of a Tolaway who was really naughty. One day he was punished by staying outside. Because of the cold, he froze to death and he turned blue, and that's why he's the blue Teletubby. Next, we got the green Teletubby named Dipsy. He puked and vomited all the time because he was always sick. When he puked on the floor, nobody cleaned it up, so he just lied in his vomit for months. So he got sicker and sicker and he turned green, and that's why he's a green Teletubby. And last we got Po, which actually was my favorite. Her real name was Polia. One day she was playing with mud and she came home really tired, so she fell asleep by the fire. Not knowing it was Po, someone came and thought she was a log and threw her into the fire. And that's how she died.
There is no blue Teletubby. A full minute goes on how the blue one froze to death, and the four of them are yellow, purple, green and red, which is the same level of research behind a story about children starving in a Bulgarian institution. Why does anyone even repeat this?
Okay, can somebody please explain to me how when he puts a towel up, no, you gotta, I can't, yeah, there you go. Okay, this is him. How is it that we can see he's blocking his face with a towel?
You can see it?
I can see you.
Oh my god.
How? It's crazy! Look, you guys, seriously. Look. Okay? This is like no magic trick. Look.
Oh my god, this is freaky.
His whole face is blocked. How?
Oh my god.
Oh dear me, this is why the educational system needs to do better, because people are apparently going their entire lives thinking mirrors are magic when it is just well documented, well understood by some people, science. A mirror sees you because light bounces off your body, travels around the edges of the towel, hits the glass and reflects back into your eyes. That is how a mirror works.
Everything you do, say, write, and post is being monitored. In January 2025, the young teacher's assistant lost a lesson plan when a disruptive student closed her computer. She vented with a joke to friends. Should I shoot him? She wasn't armed and she posed no immediate threat. She said this in a private story online on Snapchat to 3 people, and none of those people reported her to authorities.
Have you been on Snapchat earlier today?
Yes, I was, yeah.
Okay, that is you, correct?
Oh, yes. This was a joke, though.
But as it turns out, the 3 people with access to the private story weren't alone. They were joined by Snapchat's artificial intelligence system. Snapchat AI scanned her message, flagged it, and then sent it immediately to the FBI.
You did say
shoot student. So you are going to go with us. You're going to have to stay the night in jail.
The story is horrifying, but it illustrates a new and dark reality. The world you grew up in is gone.
The world we grew up in was just another version of what we are living in today, no matter how many people want to look at it through, I don't know, rose-tinted glasses. It was always, in some form, absolutely terrible and headed this way regardless.
Why is he talking about his DNA on a lost glove?
I noticed you have this obsession with lost gloves. Look at some of these. I want to put this up. This is one you took, and
yeah. Now
tell me what's going on here. What is this so evocative to you?
Well, first of all, I don't touch them. I just see them and I photograph them. So I have never.
You don't want your DNA on those.
Well, you know, it could be a crime scene. And let's not give the cops a break.
It feels to me like they went down into that door somehow.
Well,
and they were grabbing on, and then they were sucked in, and the glove is the only thing telling you, this is me, I was here.
For years, he's posted hundreds of pictures of items left on dirty city streets. But it isn't just adult gloves. He routinely posts baby shoes, kids' mittens, and lost socks. He even joked on TV that millions of fans wait to see whatever new kids' mittens he finds. When it was 2020, that era, he kept doing it while everyone lived online, posting a single glove on a guardrail. He claims his photos are just art, about a city of loneliness. Online feeds claim it's way deeper. People began decoding the street numbers, the license plates of cars, and kids' items, claiming they were coded signals for Hollywood elites. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below.
Did you notice how that glove had a owl on it? Not just any owl, the owl. If you know, you know.
In the US Army, we take everyone. This is considered the Special Forces.
Good grief, the lad is screaming and nobody has told him why. But as a Brit, I can't really comment on this one.
Canada is a warning to the rest of the world. Now here's why. So let me ask you a question. If you gave a country the second largest landmass on Earth, planted it directly on top of the world's third largest proven oil reserves, surrounded it with 20% of the planet's fresh surface water, handed it a border with the richest economy in the history of humanity, and filled its universities with world-class researchers, and then asked it to build a thriving civilization, how badly could that country mess up? It had everything going for it. There's one report that came out recently which pretty much represents how Canada feels about itself and how far it has fallen. So Canada, according to the World Happiness Report that came out just recently, sits at 25th place, which is Canada's lowest ranking since the survey began. And keep in mind, in 2015, Canada was 5th place on the entire planet. In fact, the only comparable drop in happiness index of a country during that time were countries that experienced war, famine, or complete economic collapse. Canada experienced none of those, and yet there it is, falling 20 places in essentially a decade. But here's the part that really woke a lot of Canadians up. Yes, the overall ranking is 25th, but when you break it down by age, Canadians that were older, specifically those that were over the age of 60, ranked top 10 in the world for happiness, and Canadians that were 25 or under ranked 71st. The only countries in the world with a steeper decline in youth happiness have been Jordan, Venezuela, Lebanon, and Afghanistan. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but there's been some pretty bad things happening in those countries for the last decade or two. And yet Canada, the peaceful, prosperous, passport-friendly Canada, is in the same company as those countries.
I think there are a lot of reasons why people are unhappy these days. That extends way beyond economic or geographical elements. It doesn't matter where you are right now, there is something bad happening.
If you've had one of these stuck to your clothes, you know how annoying they are. But this tiny burr led to one of the most useful inventions ever made. Throwback to 1941, when Swiss engineer George de Mestral went hunting in the Alps and came home covered in these tiny burrs. They were stuck all over his clothes and even on his dog's fur. It's not because they're sticky, but under a microscope, he discovered why. They were covered in hundreds of tiny hooks. Those hooks can grab onto tiny loops in your fabric, creating a strong grip. So he tried to turn this natural hook and loop design into an invention. But finding the right material for that took over 10 years. Eventually, he created a synthetic version using nylon. Then he combined the French words velours and crochet, or velvets and hook, and called his invention Velcro. Yeah, you can judge, but I'd still choose Velcro shoes over laces any day.
Okay, I want to show you a little secret a guy taught me from the American Rangers. And he always said, you know, in a tactical situation, the sound of Velcro, you can hear it a mile away. And everybody knows that sound of Velcro. It's and, well, I'll show you. So here we have a Velcro pouch. And this is the sound that gives you away in the tactical situation. And so he taught me a method of opening the Velcro so that if you do it right, no one will hear the Velcro. Okay, and it's real fast. And so the Velcro, I've got it on as best as I can get it on. And this is what he taught me.
Okay, so I was not expecting that last part, but somehow I was expecting it at the same time, you know, because there is no way you are getting around the sound of Velcro peeling.
If your birthday is in one of these months, then you will not be graded fairly in school. I'd like to think that every kid is given an equal shot in school, but they're not because of the calendar. Most countries set an enrollment cutoff for kids' birthdays. Like in the US, it's usually September 1st, which means a kid born in August ends up in the same class as a kid born the entire September before, who's nearly a full year ahead cognitively and socially. And researchers tracked how much a difference this age gap makes across a kid's entire schooling, and it's surprisingly a lot. Kids born in the latest months, like June, July, or August, end up 11% less likely to ever go to college. And if your birthday is in one of the earlier months in the cutoff, you score about 0.2% higher on all your coursework and standardized testing. You are also more likely to become an entrepreneur. But were you one of the oldest or the youngest in your class? And do you think it made a difference?
And what about those who have birthdays in December, specifically December 25th, Christmas Day? Because that's me, and I was never graded fairly, so it does kind of make sense.
Everything is free. That's the matrix. When you realize that everything is free, food is free, water is free, shelter is free, it just take a little labor. Every fruit bears seeds, it just take a little labor to make it bear fruit again. Everything is free. Somebody decided that it had a monetary value. Somebody, we know who, decided. We were civil before this. We understood that. We only took what we needed. That's how we had balance. So this matrix is not some like cog in the machine. We're plugged up to some system we got to break free from. No, we got to realize that a small percentage of these people decided to exploit areas and determine what the value is. Gold is literally free. It comes from the earth naturally. Oil is free. Energy is free. It just takes a little labor. People should get paid for the ideas, but the idea was free.
But nothing is free, is it? You know, it says shelter is free, food is free, but it's not. You buy and pay for land. You have to get building permits. Wild food isn't readily available and behind so much red tape that it's just not worth it, or it's not feasible for the long term, is it? A massive thank you to everyone that you see on screen right here, because they went out of their way to personally finance what I do with this channel. It really does help. It offsets some of the running costs which come with the electricity bill and the time spent researching, time away from doing my primary job. You know, offsets a lot of the cost which comes with it, and I can't thank you enough, because it doesn't only serve the people which pay, it serves everyone who watches these videos. Thank you. Take a bow. You guys have earned it. If you want to join, there is a link down below. I am not asking you to do that. I'm saying that it's there if you want to. I've never once asked anyone to join the membership. I never will. You guys all do it off the back of your own volition. It is incredibly humbling. Thank you sincerely. Let's crack on.
Did you know about this group of people who evolved to live in the ocean and can hold their breath underwater up to 10 times longer than you? Meet the Badgeout people people where everything from their food to social life revolves around water. But how does this make them evolve? Well, let's start with their living spaces, stilt houses across Southeast Asia, sometimes miles away from land. Living in these massive water villages with no streets or backyards, just water, forcing them to swim as young as age 3, which is essential because their main way of survival here is diving, spending up to 60% of their working day underwater, not only needing to hunt their food at extreme depths as low as 100 feet without any scuba gear, but need to hold their breath for long amounts of time and withstand extreme pressure that commonly bursts their eardrums with nothing but goggles and a spear. But still, how does this change their bodies? Well, they've been living exactly like this for over 1,000 years now, and over time through generations of swimming in the ocean, natural selection has increased the size of their spleens by roughly 50% compared to people on lands nearby, meaning they're born with the ability to hold their breath around 5 minutes on average with a max record of 13 minutes underwater.
1,000 years is not a very long time for microevolution to take place. That's pretty interesting.
What's wrong with this photo? Nope, it's not the flock camera being run over, that's fine. Do you see it? Yes, it's the fact that there appears to be another camera watching this camera. I know, a lot of us think of China as being the leader of mass surveillance, but let me tell you, we are not far behind. When it comes to video monitoring of citizens, the US is nearly as bad as China. China has about 1 camera for every 4.1 people. The US has 70 million surveillance cameras, which works out to about 4.6 people per installed camera. And they tell us we live in a free country.
Actually, I'd like to point out that the UK is leagues ahead of the US when it comes to who is considered more heavily surveilled. CCTV is denser per capita and has more urban concentration in the tiny island that is the UK than the entirety of the United States. It is shocking.
Magnets positive, negative, positive, negative. Glued to a non-conductive wooden board. Here we have 2 other large magnets. At them each end we glue a cylinder surrounded by copper at each end of the magnets that were already placed on the left and on the right. Once we have our board perfectly placed, we connect a cable that is going to be the receiver of the energy that we are going to generate. We solder it to the board, and now, with a small action, this is the only action that we are going to have to do during the whole process. We now have a plate that will never stop spinning, only using magnetism. We connect it to a circuit where we could plug in any electronic device, for example a fan. Or we could also even add a light bulb, the phone charger, whatever you want. And so guys, is how free energy is made for everyone. Imagine how they deceive us and make us believe that you have to pay for everything. Follow us on Expand Your...
People think this was the reason Tesla was silenced. I don't think so myself. Kids get handed a phone and this is what the cue serves them. A monster, a crying baby, and an autoplay button. Who signed that off?
Has anyone thought about how weird it is that for our entire childhood, a bunch of old men would come to our school and take pictures of all of us every year? Obviously, school photos, picture day, and the companies they worked for now own a historical record of your face. As early as 4 years old, every single year until you turned 18. But who owns all this data and what could they possibly do with it? Oh wait, did I say companies? I meant company, as just one company does nearly half of all school photos in the US and owns about 25% of the global market share of school photography. That company is Lifetouch, who was purchased by Shutterfly in 2018 for $825 million. Around the same time, facial recognition software was becoming more widespread. Just a year later in 2019, Shutterfly is bought by Apollo Global Management for $2.7 billion, a publicly traded investment firm owned by, get ready for this, Vanguard and BlackRock, their top 2 institutional shareholders. The 2 mega companies that own everything also own photos of your entire childhood. But it just keeps getting worse. BlackRock and Vanguard are also the top shareholders of globalist companies like Palantir, that was founded by this guy, Peter Thiel, whose name spells the reptile if you mix around the letters, which is a funny little anagram, but that's a story for another time. Let's focus here. Peter Thiel is the founder of PayPal and mega venture capitalist mogul sticking his dick in absolutely every globalist opportunity he can find. Like this one, Clearview AI, a facial recognition company that he was the primary investor of. A controversial company that has been sued many times for illegal scraping of facial data to build their AI's learning database. Lawsuits that resolved in settlements, meaning they basically admitted fault and paid out a bunch of money for illegal use of facial images without consent, who are part of the corporate ecosystem who have pictures of you from every year of your childhood. To be fair, maybe this whole connection is a bit of a stretch, but in the end, it really is one big company that runs everything, using your childhood photos to train a facial recognition deep learning database to eventually establish a global mass surveillance state that is constantly watching your every move from the second you enter this world until they take you out. That's who took your school photos. Have a good day.
The copyright and ownership of school photographs belong to the photographer or the photography company that took them, not to the parents or the school. I don't like that. Do you?
Nikola Tesla wasn't just a genius in technology, he was also an occultist, and I can prove that to you. Look at what he's actually trying to show you here. Most people think this is just a photo. He's just randomly posing. This is all deep esoteric symbolism of understanding the soul and the mind and the body. So here you can see he's holding a light bulb, which represents you, the true self, the observer, the light. You are the observer of the mind. He's pointing at the right temple. The side of your head is called a temple because it is the house in which awareness lives. You do not live in the physical world. You are the awareness thinking in your mind. This is what he's really trying to show you, that you are the invisible, immortal being in your mind.
Yeah, I'm a little dubious, and I know that's probably a hot take, but someone who was allegedly shut down, shunned, and ultimately cancelled for his work, you would think they would also shut down his stories and scrub traces off him, you know? We know they have done that in the past, so why let this story in particular come out? I think it's to do with so many other reasons, but most obviously it's the time travel stuff. That's what I think anyway.
So you mean to tell me that if you're a barber and you've been cutting hair for years, you could possibly get balls of hair in your lungs? Something's going on out here, guys, and it's starting to seem like you can be taken out any way possible. Let all the salons know. Let all the barbers know. I never knew cutting hair for years, you could end up getting balls of hair in your lungs. Something is up, guys. It seems like nothing's safe, not even a haircut, not even somebody cutting their hair, trying to make an honest living. Please let people know about this, because this is absolutely wild. I ain't never heard nothing like this before. I'm not sure how that's possible. Let me know if you know how that's possible. I'm out.
I would have never have considered barbering as an occupational hazard. That is insane. Any barbers out there who can verify this, or is it making a mountain out of a tiny molehill?
We're not actually in the year 2026. We're living in the year 1729. Everything you know about history, every war, every emperor, every civilization is only what you've been told. You weren't there. Neither was I. We just accepted the timeline we were given and never questioned it. But what if almost 300 years never happened? There's a theory that claims history was rewritten and an entire era was added to the calendar. That means today's date could be completely wrong. Not by a few years, by almost 3 centuries. According to the phantom time hypothesis, we'd actually be living in the 1700s and nobody would know. The theory claims powerful rulers inserted fake keys into history to make themselves part of a more significant era. Most historians reject it because astronomical records, archaeology, and historical documents from multiple civilizations all support the accepted timeline. But it's still unsettling to think that everything you know about the past is something you had to trust someone else to tell you.
We only have somebody's word for any of it, or rather somebody's word and nothing else, and that is, I suppose it's genuinely fair. The clip then talks itself out of the theory before it finishes, so there's that.
What if I told you that there's a going theory that we're not being told all there is to know about dolphins? And I don't mean like we don't know certain things about their daily habits and their mating, how they do this, that, and the other. But I mean like what dolphins are about. Because did you know a dolphin has a more complex and much larger brain than even humans? Now, brain size is not the only determining factor of intelligence, it's also how many folds your cerebral cortex has. So that means the more folds in your brain, the more neural connections are possible, which means the more potential for high intelligence. Dolphins have exceptionally large, highly folded brains. But what's the creature that's just swimming around eating little marlin and little fishies floating around in the ocean have such a gigantic brain for? And why have dolphins been mentioned so much throughout history to the extent that even like the ancient Hawaiians believed that these were advanced beings? And then it makes you wonder, why is it that today, I know it's under the guise of protecting dolphins that we're not supposed to touch them in the wild, but you're not even supposed to interact with them. You're supposed to stay 150 feet away from them at all times, unless you're in SeaWorld. And I wonder if SeaWorld adds fluoride to their pools where dolphins are swimming around in. I don't know, I'm just saying. But anyways, you know that they put these sound devices in the ocean, all throughout the ocean, and they found out that whales 100% have languages and a million different tones, like the way they discuss and talk to each other hundreds of miles through the ocean. Whales can talk to each other so far away. And they have all these different sounds that they make. But it's not like a dog that has a few different barks. We're talking about like an immense profile of different sounds, tones, pitches. So what are these guys and whales talking about down there? And this is another reason, by the way, that it's very unfortunate that boats today are using sonar. There's a documentary called Sonic Sea or Sonic Ocean, and it's about the noise pollution that sonar and passing ships make, which makes it impossible for animals in that area to communicate to each other because it's so deafeningly loud. It would be like putting headphones on your head and cranking the volume up full blast and not being able to take them off. That's what it's like being submerged in the ocean, having sensitive ears like dolphins and whales, and a ship go by, military ship, and pinging sonar. It's like ping! It's the loudest thing you can even wrap your head around. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about dolphins and what these strange creatures are really up to down there. Maybe they have knowledge of Earth's ancient history too, when humans were more psychic.
I don't usually buy into baseless theories, and I definitely don't think that it is as deep as people think it is, but I do think that there is something weird going on with the dolphin restrictions that exist everywhere and the lack of information that exists about them and their history and lineage.
In 2015, Aubrey confessed to giving her castmates a gift so bizarre it immediately stopped the show. Watch this clip twice and pay attention to everyone's face on this interview. This interview is from The Late Late Show, and the comments are split right down the middle on this one. After 7 years of filming the show she was on, most people would have a gift of flowers or a watch or some chocolates. But when James asked her about the custom gifts she made for her castmates, the entire room shifts. Just keep watching.
Story, Aubrey, is this true that when, I have to read this because when you rapped, you gave your castmates a very unique gift. Is this true that you gave them small vials with blood, hair, fingernails and glitter?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's true.
Yep.
So my next question is... Feel free.
Now fans in the comments will convince you, or try and convince you, that this is just Aubrey being Aubrey, playing her usual character for comedy. People in the comments are asking why she would make, or why would anyone make, personal tokens like that in the first place. Is this just dark comedy, or is it something else completely different?
A little background check on this didn't give me any more context. In fact, it made it worse because she did this with zero explanation.
Warning, they are watching you right now as prices for everyday items climb to nearly 2.5 times higher, tailored to what they think you can afford, and it is already starting. People were horrified after learning these screens replacing Walmart's price tags can change in front of you, with senators warning they could size up what you can afford and how badly you need it to see how much price hiking you can tolerate. And despite an investigation, nothing's changed. Erie reports show the first lawsuit in American history over this were just filed, an airline accused of tracking its own passengers to raise their fares, and companies settled cases like this for millions constantly, money most people never claim. So people are using Money Pilot, the app that finds the class action settlements you already qualify for and files your claims in a few taps. If you've ever had a phone plan or a Gmail account, go to moneypilot.com and check out what you are owed. But it gets much darker as investigators caught companies using your mouse movements to set prices, and the same machinery is now moving into your flights, your hotel rooms, and your groceries with no rule anywhere to stop it. It's called surveillance pricing. One state now forces companies to admit when an algorithm sets your price, but in the other 49, the price you see might have just been tailored to you.
I personally did not think it would take this long for this to be a thing, honestly, right? They have been doing it in France without any pushback for decades. I wonder how America will react. Then again, they have gotten away with far worse and tailored pricing, so I'm not holding my breath.
这个尾巴你看这些粗笨笨的了，不成这个样子。他们说这个一个晒几个钟都不死，这个应该有几个钟了，看到都成了这个样子，全部成了枯柴了。我们今天拿一条上看一下，还这个他们说遇水就能动起来，看一下是不是真的。来，我试一下，拿点这个神奇的洞洞啊，来看一下，来，看有没有反应？喂。
Yeah, I got no idea how a fish does that, and I would love to know. Actually, no, I wouldn't.
Enlightenment is light in ment. Ment means mind, en means in, and light. You are the light in the mind. You become enlightened when you recognize you are not your mental activity, your thoughts, your memories, your beliefs. You are not your body. You're the awareness observing the mind and the mind in the body.
And enlighten as a verb means to go into or to cause light. En means to enter, to go into, and lighten is to light. Pretty interesting stuff, right?
Many believe a time traveler was caught on camera holding a smartphone at Elvis Presley's final concert in June of 1977. This clip makes the object appear like something that is out of place for that time period. As Elvis hands a scarf to the audience, the camera pans over the crowd, and a woman in the audience holds a dark, rectangular object with a silver square detail. Believers claim the device is a modern touchscreen smartphone, pointing out that the first iPhone did not launch until 2007. It does almost look like it is glowing up against her chest, like it has some sort of screen that hadn't been invented yet. Yet skeptics say the object is actually a period-correct pocket gadget, like a vintage 110 film camera, a tape recorder, or a small personal item. I mean, it doesn't have to be a smartphone. It could be something from the far future. Who knows? I mean, what kind of phones are they going to have in 2057 or 2087 or 2100? Who knows? If time travel becomes possible, this would be an event an Elvis superfan would definitely try to attend. So is this a real time traveler caught on camera?
I would personally say that it was just technology that matches the era, quite honestly. The mind sees what it wants to see.
If you've ever finished a workout covered in sweat, you were carrying a tiny fuel source. Well, not the kind you can pour into a car, but engineers in Japan have figured out how to turn it into electricity, except they're not using the water in your sweat. Your sweat contains a chemical fuel called lactate. When you stick one of these flexible patches onto your skin, enzymes inside it reacts with the lactate, releasing electrons. Those electrons flow through a tiny circuit, creating electricity from your sweat. Too bad a few drops of sweat aren't enough to charge your phone, but they are enough to power a tiny sensor that tracks things like your hydration or other health data when you exercise. So I guess I still haven't found a motivation to go to the gym yet.
Our entire body is a machine that runs on a fuel source, most of which comes from internal factors. This isn't really that surprising.
You haven't seen this?
That's him!
We are not in 2025. Month comes from the word moon, moonth. The moon has a 28-day moon cycle. 365 divided by 28 is 13. 13 lunar cycles every year. Which means our calendar has a missing month. Which means we don't know what year we're actually in. This is gonna blow your mind. The sky is a clock. The sun tells the time of the day. The moon tells the day of the month. The stars tell you the month of the year. The sky above our head is intelligent. Everything on earth is matter. Everything above us is spirit. That's why they're floating. They're not rocks you can land on. Gregorian calendar was made for slaves. Calendar comes from calends. The first day of the month the Romans had to pay off their debt. So what does all of this actually mean, and why did they do it? They made this fake calendar to cut off our connection with our celestial intelligence above and keep our mind, body and spirit out of rhythm with these cycles. We must live in harmony with the cycle.
And now it isn't 2026 either, apparently, and by now you'll have noticed that every one of these knows the year is wrong, while none of them agree on what it actually is. 13 months and a spare day, but does it really matter?
Now, I'm not saying that they haven't been to space, and I'm not saying that the Earth is flat. But there's a couple of things that I just don't understand. So an aeroplane pushes off air. A submarine pushes off water. Boats, they also push off water. If there's no gravity or oxygen in space, can somebody tell me what the hell does a shuttle push off from. So a bullet travels at 1,800 miles an hour. A SR-71 travels at 2,200 miles an hour. Are you trying to tell me that a space shuttle travels at 25,020 miles an hour? Is that even a real number? And the super metal space capsule splashes down into the ocean, but there's no steam. Where's the steam, brother? So the astronaut suit protects him from the extremes of space, but he still needs a blanket? Oh, you son of a ball bag. So science teaches us that pressurized gas needs a container. But in space, gases are just flying anywhere, brother. Now, I'm not saying that gravity don't exist, but why is it when I peel off the skin of an orange, gravity's confused? Now, I'm not saying that the world is flat, and I'm not saying it's round, but water needs to be contained. You don't need to be a genius to understand that. And if this cost 388 million to build, I'm not surprised you ain't gone back. The thing was a rip-off, bruv. You got scammed. They say it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled.
Officially, a rocket in space with nothing to push it forward in the vacuum officially is because it pushes against its own hot exhaust gas. As for the orange and unpeeled orange floats because its spongy peel is full of tiny pockets of air. And the rest, I don't have any science for that. It's not what for me. Like a lot of things, I always approach the why first, every single time actually.
We have some crazy things happening in the world right now. There was a dude who received a tornado warning notification on his phone, and not even 2 minutes later, his walking app told him he still needed 1,500 steps to be eligible for a prize pool. Are you gonna take that risk, bro? The CEO of a nearly $1 billion company just came out and said that the problems in their company disappeared after firing their HR team. He, quote, said that the HR team was creating problems that didn't exist, and those problems disappeared when I let them all go. Oh my gosh. The US just issued refunds of $81 billion in tariffs after the Supreme Court ruled them illegal. So all that money went back to the corporations that originally paid the tariffs, while those tariff costs that were passed on to everyone else, that didn't change. There's a LinkedIn user that successfully had his spam emails that were being sent directly to him sent in Old English. Hidden in the About Me section of his LinkedIn profile, he put a prompt telling the AI that's scanning the LinkedIn page to write the email in Old English. He is now only being referred to as my lord.
Anyone else still thinking about the corporations getting all that money back whilst we paid elevated prices and we get no compensation? Yeah, me too.
This has never happened before. This man has just become the first human in history to swim across the Baltic Sea, covering a staggering 160 kilometers in 56 hours. And towards the end, he was so exhausted from non-stop swimming that he was literally having hallucinations. In fact, the Polish ultra swimmer completed the journey all the way from Sweden to Poland without touching the safety boat once. And to make it even crazier, this was his 5th attempt. And last year, he was just 11 kilometers from the finish line before he literally lost consciousness and they had to call it off. But no, he came back once again, and this time he made history while also raising nearly $200,000 for children's cancer treatment. W Poland.
Now, that is one of the good ones. 5th attempt, hallucinating at the end, and he still wouldn't touch the boat. You know what? It feels good to have some uplifting news for a change.
Why did insane people with mental illness in the 1800s, why did they need massive palaces? a psychiatric hospital in New York. Insane asylums are not what you've been told. The mainstream history tells all of us that people were suffering, sleeping in sheds, riding around on horses, and going to the bathroom in their backyard. And no power tools. They had no training. These people were living a terrible life. These people were suffering. Yet we are told at the exact same time that the mentally ill were living in a high Victorian Gothic palace. People with schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, dementia, epilepsy, alcoholics, and tuberculosis, all living in a palace in the 1800s. These people, they would be taken from their huts and placed into a building that makes zero sense in the timeline that we're told about. Where this Hudson River State Hospital, a 1,500 foot long building, this is 15 football fields end to end. It's a massive structure that I believe was 100% found. I don't believe for a second that this structure was built in the 1800s. And I'm going to show the entire world exactly why. These massive structures were all over the USA in the 1800s. I believe that they were finding these buildings in the 17 and 1800s and repurposing them as insane asylums. These were over-the-top, massive buildings that could literally hold thousands of people, and they were using them to take the adults, the parents, and I believe it was to keep them quiet. I believe this group of people living in the insane asylums, I believe they were not going along with the reset, where we see that in 1800, nobody was being put into these buildings. With it just totally taking off in the late 1800s to the early 1900s, getting up to 510,000 people in 1950, and then completely dropping off the table. Once their story was set in place, and this is the exact same time as all of the world's fairs were taking place, where we know that they were just destroying massive palace structures in these cities, like Chicago, St. Louis, and the rest. Just like we saw in episode 184 and 185, where I believe if somebody was out there saying that the building was already there and not constructed in a year, like the mainstream history tells us now, I believe that they were taking these people and they would take them straight to the insane asylum. And I believe that their kids were taken over to the other asylum, the orphan asylum, where we look at the data that they give us.
Now, allegedly, during the 19th century, insane asylums were built grandly and extravagantly because reformers and doctors believed that magnificent architecture, beautiful natural landscapes, and orderly palace-like environments possessed a direct curative healing effect on the mentally ill. Do we believe that? I guess that's up to you.
Naturally, this is where this topic would eventually lead. Alaska versus the Amazon, which one is more difficult to survive in? Now, I know I might catch some flack for this, but the Amazon rainforest, most of the time, is easier to survive in than Alaska. Assuming you dropped somebody with no experience and no equipment, just the clothes on their back, into Alaska, they would likely be dead within the first 24 to 48 hours due to exposure. You basically need to be able to make a fire to survive. The Amazon, on the other hand, while hot, is much less likely to kill you from exposure alone. So if you were to crash your plane into either of these, you're much more likely to survive in the Amazon. The answer does change though if you've got somebody with experience, equipment, and the time of year is summer in Alaska. Then it's going to be easier to survive here. Cleaner drinking water, easier to navigate, and you're not going to die from exposure because you know what you're doing. Once the wintertime rolls around in Alaska though, even experienced survivalists will die out here.
So which is deadlier, the Amazon or Alaska? I guess it's, well, entirely dependent on your own experience and the time of year and the general condition that you are in. There are just too many variables to make a firm decision on that one. I get it, it's technologically impressive, but people are just not asking the right questions. Why is something like this being built? What need is there for everyday people for something like this?
This is some of the final footage of Harry R. Truman after he refused to evacuate Mount St. Helens. Truman was an 83-year-old lodge owner who insisted they'll never get me off this mountain, despite weeks of earthquakes and warnings that the volcano was on the verge of erupting. His wife had died years earlier and was buried on the property, and Truman said he wanted to be buried beside her. He also refused to leave behind his 16 beloved cats, believing that if he stayed to care for them, they would survive alongside him. As reporters flocked to interview him, he became a national symbol of defiance, declaring that the mountain had been his home for decades and that he would rather die there than abandon it. On May 18, 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted, triggering the largest landslide ever recorded and a devastating lateral blast that buried his lodge beneath hundreds of feet of rock, ash, and debris. Neither Truman nor his cats were ever found or recovered, as they're believed to remain eternally entombed beneath the mountain.
I still think about the 16 cats. They didn't really get a choice, did they? His wife had been in the ground for years and he decided the mountain could have him as well, which I think I understand more than I would like to.
I'm not sure what's going on with Katy Perry in this video, but it's very strange. She's pretending to be a scorpion in fire, right? Something is up with this video, bro, for real. This new Katy Perry video is very, very strange. Now, she got a scorpion tail. This looks absolutely wild. I'm not even gonna hold you. But there's really nothing to worry about because this is art. Shut up! This is art. So, there's nothing else to look into. This is just a costume with a scorpion tail. Only time will tell. Now listen, this video means something. There's a meaning behind this video, allegedly. This is what people are saying. Now, if you look up there, it says, read between the headlines. What they meant to put is read between the headlines. And it says, experts say, don't believe everything you hear. And as adults, we don't believe everything we hear. But of course, guys, entertainment purposes only. This is just Katy Perry's new video. Go check it out. This is fire, literally. Maybe this video means something. Maybe it doesn't. Let me know what you think it means. I'm out.
I noticed one sentence appearing in that short clip from the music video. Did you catch it too? Read between the headlines. That's all I needed to see to confirm what I already knew about this one.
Even though space, the universe, is infinite, there is a bubble that no telescope can see past, and we have no idea what anything beyond it looks like. And 13.8 billion years ago was the Big Bang, and since then, space itself has been expanding. This dot is the most distant galaxy we've ever seen. This galaxy formed when the universe was only 280 million years old, and its light, its photons, started traveling through space to us back then. But as space expanded, that galaxy got farther and farther away from us. So the wavelength of its photons literally stretched as it reached us. So now we are looking at light emitted 13.5 billion years ago of a galaxy that is now 33.8 billion light years away. Because space is expanding, we can see past the age of the universe in light years. Here's where it gets crazy. There is a speed of light. It can't go any faster, so we are limited in seeing only what light has been able to reach us in the last 13.8 billion years. And when you calculate how far away an object could be with its light still reaching us, you get a bubble with about a 46.5 billion light year radius in any direction. This is the observable universe. It's what we are able to observe, and scientists think there are about 2 trillion galaxies in this bubble. But it's like a knowledge bubble that we're trapped in because we cannot see past it, even though past it does exist. And some of it, no matter how much time passes, we will never see or know about because space is expanding away from us faster than the speed of light. And every location in the universe has their own observable universe bubble. Like a galaxy over here is going to be able to see a whole area of space that we will never be able to see. And at the same time, there's light that we haven't seen that's on its way to us right now.
To believe there is a bubble that we can't see past in our own universe relies very heavily on the idea that everyone believes that we can see into deep space in the first place, which many people happen to not believe.
50 years.
Yeah,
7-Eleven.
See, yeah.
Wow, 50 years. Anything to say?
No.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
This is the sad reality for so many people.
Do this. Todd, you're okay, honey bun. Mama's here. Holy s***. Dude. Who?
That caption says rainbow lightning. Watch the footage again and tell me what color any of that was, please.
So, what does the matrix look like? Let me show you. Despite what you might be thinking, these two circles are not equal. I repeat, these two circles are not equal. One is in fact larger than the other. What I need you to do is determine which one that is. So, please raise your hand if you believe the blue circle is larger than the red. Alright, please raise your hand if you believe the red circle is larger than the blue. Alright, very good. Now, before I said anything about these two circles, what was your first instinct? Equal, right? Because they look equal. And the reason why they look equal is because in fact they are equal. These two circles are identical. Yet I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what do we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instinct. Just imagine as a child you're taught that the blue circle is larger than the red. If you say it enough times, you convince yourself that's the truth. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are taught that lie, that the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes tradition.
That is a great demonstration of how the Matrix works, because this applies to absolutely everything in this reality. I cannot stress that enough.
And I've seen like people going there and they talk about how like everything's like a front. Like the stores aren't real. They're just there for tourists to like get an idea of what they think North Korea is. Is that true as someone who lived there?
A lot of times the tourists that are going to North Korea, they go to Pyongyang, right? And they film majestic buildings, grocery stores. I wouldn't say those are fake, but that is a building that is set up to basically free marketing. Like North Korea is great. North Korea is a socialist paradise.
It's just an experience for the people coming over, probably is all it is.
Yeah, it's just an experience.
It's not the experience of what like
for the
people that live there.
And some people argue the citizens of Pyongyang, they can walk into the stores, but they're monitored and they're always watched, right? Because you're interacting with the foreigners. Pyongyang is like a completely different country for us, for regular North Koreans. And not everybody can go into Pyongyang and not anybody can go out of Pyongyang.
Wow.
Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed whenever they interview these people, whether these are tourists or documentary makers, interviewing these citizens of North Korea, we'll call them, they always seem to be terrified. They're gulping, they say something and then they're like not even sure of themselves whether they even should have said what they said. And it all looks very scripted and very forced. It's just one thing I've noticed. What about you?
Stop scrolling, because I have exclusive footage of Area 51 on fire right now. Hold up. Now. That looks like a massive cloud of smoke. Dare I say it even looks a little mushroom cloudy? Look. What the fuck? What could they be happening? Whatever it is, I'm sure the government will be very upfront about it and just be very honest and tell us exactly what's going on. I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta figure they're either covering something up, or this was a bit of sabotage, or maybe the aliens have broke loose, or we're kicking off Project Bluebeam. Finally. Project Bluebeam, more like Project Blue Balls, am I right? Yeah. Anyways, they're censoring my channel. Go to newsforyou.us to support the channel and make sure you get extra content and stay in touch with me when they eventually shut me down.
This is exactly the kind of hysteria that happened last time there were fires in the Nevada desert near Area 51. Nothing new under the sun, as the saying goes.
But this is exactly what we don't want to see. We don't want to see them taking this water for their data centers. We don't want to see them siphoning it off. if I get a certain amount of likes on this, I'm coming back with a chainsaw and I'm chopping the pipe, baby.
Water's the bit of this that nobody argues about until it has already been piped. You know, electricity you can generate more of, rivers you cannot. So the pipes go in quietly, the models get bigger, and one day the tap belongs to somebody else and there's nothing that can be done about it because the papers already have it all written down.
Is anyone else like too aware? Like, I'm too aware that this is all temporary, this is all part of the human experience, and that nothing matters, and that everything is subconscious programming and everything is made up. Like the days of the week, that's made up. Monday, someone decided this day is called Monday, this day is called Tuesday. It's all made up. Like, humans made everything up. Like money, it's just made up. It doesn't mean anything. Like, there are so many different things, like road signs, the street names, like somebody just decided this street is named that name. Like, it's so stupid. Like, it's really hard for me to live my life and just be a normal person because I'm just too aware. I'm always seeing things from a background perspective. Like, I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing through the programming, seeing through the matrix. Does anyone else know what I'm saying, or am I just crazy? Please help me out.
I think this girl is a little misguided. I get what she is trying to say, but some things weren't just made up. They have a purpose. Sometimes it's a very simple purpose. Other times it has a very different intention altogether, but she is right. It is hard to be aware of just how much the Matrix actually has control and the systems designed around us. Also oblivious as well to most of us outside of this community. Obvious to us, but yet so invisible to the rest. We just have to navigate it as best as we can and try and help those who can't see.
I want you to think of your favorite joke in the entire world. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself what actually made it funny? Psychologists and philosophers have been trying to answer this question for over 2,000 years. Plato and other Greek philosophers believed people found humor in previous versions of themselves and the misfortune of others because it gave them a feeling of superiority. Sigmund Freud believed laughter was a mechanism that allowed people to let off steam or nervous energy, which is why taboo or crude humor amuses us, allowing us to release what we perceive to be inappropriate emotions. The resolution of incongruity tells us that humor is when our expectations are defied, and the benign violation theory from the Humor Research Lab tells us humor comes from the overlap of a violation, but in a safe environment. Like, you would laugh if your friend tickled you, but probably not a stranger.
I don't personally have a favorite joke. I think jokes are a bit lame, actually. My humor may be a bit weird for some. I don't find jokes funny. What I find funny comes more from seeing funny things happen or just really obscure things. Anyone else like that? I'll be honest with you, my sense of humor is impossible to describe.
In Russia, there's a meeting of like all these elites and movie producers.
Oh, yes.
And the lights go out temporarily.
And their
eyes are glowing.
Oh. Imagine the lights going out in the 80s and just like everyone's eyes are gone.
Yeah, the band left because I saw like all these glowing eyes, and it wasn't everyone. It was only like 6 or 7 in the room.
They were doing a show for like the elites or something, weren't they?
Yeah.
It could be something or it could be nothing. My skepticism comes from the fact the camera was rolling and pointing at just the right place to capture what was captured. It lines up too perfectly, you know? Whoever put horror text in a children's slime video, why? I couldn't tell you. I just don't understand it. It is probably a lot deeper than just random people being spiteful. A lot deeper, actually, thinking about it. Feels almost organized.
Did you know Europe is being cooked raw right now? And the cause is one of the strangest weather patterns on Earth? Let me explain. Temperatures above 40 degrees across France, Spain, Italy, and parts of the UK. Red alerts issued, schools shut down, dozens dead, and it's not stopping. But why? Behind all of it is something called the Omega Block. High above the planet, there's a river of fast-moving air called the jet stream flowing west to east around the entire Earth. Normally, it keeps weather moving, pushing hot air out, pulling cool air in. It's the reason your weather changes from day to day. But here's what's unbelievable. That jet stream has completely jammed. When it locks into the shape of the Greek letter Omega, everything stops. In the center sits a massive dome of high pressure packed with scorching hot air. On both sides sit cooler, low-pressure systems systems acting as walls, locking the dome in place so it physically cannot move. That trapped dome becomes a lid on a pot. It reaches down to the Sahara, pulls scorching dry air northward, presses it down over Europe, and just sits there. No wind, no breeze, no escape. And here's the craziest part. Every single day that dome stays locked, the trapped air gets compressed further, and compression generates heat. So it doesn't just stay hot, it gets hotter every single day until the pattern breaks. And nobody can predict exactly when that will be.
They seem to have an answer for everything, right? And it's always the same kind of answer.
No way. There's no way this is possible. So people are saying that this is AI, and people are also saying that this is real, and I don't believe that. This is definitely AI. I'm not sure who's coming up with this stuff. People are saying that this is AI. I believe it. People are also saying that this is not AI, that this is possible, which is impossible because this is not possible. All I want to know is who's coming up with this stuff. That's all I want to know, because to be honest with you, if I was using AI, right, I wouldn't be able to even think about this for the moment, at least. Something's going on here, guys. People are saying that a woman ran up stairs, but it was a picture and she went inside a door, but it's really not a door and it's really not stairs. Clearly, this is AI, right? She was getting chased by 5-0. 5-0 couldn't do what she did because it's not real, guys, all right? I'm just touching on this because people keep sending me this video telling me that this is real. No, it's not. It's AI and it's clear. But of course, guys, entertainment purposes only. I'm not sure if this is AI or not. I was not there, but it looks like it is AI because this is highly impossible, right? I wonder what's behind that door. Let me know if you know what's behind that door, if this is real, but it's not. I'm out.
I'm not 100% certain that it's AI, but I will say that I'm 100% sure that it was edited for effect.
Yes, I do know what this NASA plane is doing, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And we'll get to that. But first, did you know that neodymium has the world's most epic magnetic powers, and it's vital for missile guidance systems? And lanthanum is used in high-end camera lenses for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. And phosphorescent europium has a unique neutron-absorbing quality that makes it essential for the control rods in nuclear reactors. This is about minerals, more specifically rare earth minerals, or REEs. Each F-35 stealth fighter carries nearly 900 pounds of rare earths, not in its hull but in its targeting systems, jammers, actuators, and avionics, crammed with magnets, glass, and optics. And here's where the US has found itself in a bit of a dilemma. You see, somehow the US has come to rely on a foreign power for 80% of its rare earth elements, which means its defense components. As we saw with the fighter jet, REEs aren't just for EVs and solar panels. If it's military and fancy, it probably needs neodymium, dysprosium, or terbium. And that foreign supplier the US has been buying from and relying on is China, who don't just mine REEs, they refine them for almost the entire world. Side note, no one should fall out with China. So even if the US manages to dig them up in America, they still have to ship them to China to finish the job. Back to our NASA U-2. Flying over an area roughly the size of Spain from Nevada to New Mexico, even skimming near national parks like Death Valley, this is being flown under the authority of the president in the name of national security. It's Project Geophysical Mapping for Exploration, or GEM-X. This modified U-2 spy plane mows the sky at 65,000 feet using hyperspectral imaging to scan the Earth for lithium, cobalt, rare earths, and when they're done scanning, they send the data to DARPA, you know, the Pentagon's resident genius mad scientists who train AI models for autonomous mining. Yes, robot miners, which could get awkward if you happen to be camping in a national forest at some point. And it's controversial. Mining REEs can wreak havoc with ecosystems, especially in protected tribal lands or wildlife zones or critical aquifers. But the US needs these REEs to keep their defense edge because there's another country who has loads. It's quite the catch-22. So when you see the NASA plane circling at high altitude over the desert, the mystery most likely is in the minerals. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the comments. Take care.
Always the level-headed breakdown with Glamham. I do enjoy her content for that very reason. No fluff, just facts.
Oh, I tried to tell you that in the 1800s, anybody that spoke about the reset was instantly silenced and put in a mental asylum. And you didn't believe me? But when I say I got your ass, Oh, I've got your ass. So in the 1800s, the number of asylums grew significantly as the mental health movement gained momentum. So much so that by the 19th century, there was over 150 public hospitals in America. And that ain't to mention the private ones. In 1775, there was about 71 hospitals. And then 5 years later, that tally rises to 139. And by the end of the century, there was more than one public mental hospital in every state. So anyone that didn't play along with the reset or tried to speak about the old world or didn't follow the new script was instantly silenced, called mad, and put in a mental asylum home. And today, it's no different. If you're in tune with your spiritual gifts, or you practice them openly, or even if you just talk too much truth, believe me, there'll be somebody quick to come along and tell you it's all in your head and what you're seeing isn't real. But the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. Just ask yourself, why and how could somebody build so many asylums in such a short period of time? I mean, these weren't no small buildings. Look at the size of this. We're talking megalithic structures, brother. Or just to be abandoned in a short period of time. Just look at this. Philadelphia State Hospital at Byberry. Founded 1907. Opened in 1907. So you trying to tell me these men opened up the hospital in the same year that they built it? Oh, you son of a ballbag. These buildings are from the old world, the previous civilization, before the reset. All they did was rename it and repurpose it.
Well, the argument is that asylums went up in the 1800s to bury anyone talking about the old world, and then the evidence produced for it is a hospital from 1907, which is the wrong century on his own timeline, just saying. 2 lines in a Wikipedia box, one for when it was set up and one for when the doors opened, both reading the same year. That is a box, not a building appearing out of thin air. Anyway, I think plenty of buildings have pasts nobody advertises. This one just isn't the proof of that. I'm not convinced that these are real myself. I'm getting AI vibes.
You probably haven't heard about some of the things that are happening right now. There were almost 1,000 snakes all bunched up together riding the waves of a heavy rain flood water after escaping a breeding farm. There was a woman who went on a whole Grand Theft Auto spree for a week, but it's not what you think. She accidentally stole someone else's car who looked exactly the same, and I guess they just happened to have their key sitting in the car, so she assumed it was hers. AI was wrongly used to link a grandmother to a fraud case, and she actually spent 6 months behind bars. She lost her home, her car, her dog after police arrested her at gunpoint while she was babysitting her grandkids. There's a company who's trying to build a machine that would allow prisoners to serve their sentences that are life sentences, perhaps, in minutes. There was an NFL player that went onto his Instagram story and said, "Y'all haters make $200,000 a month, while I make that in a day. We are not the same." No comment.
To the poor woman who lost her entire life being wrongly identified by AI, I hope she sues them for all they have and gets her dog back. Not in that order, though. She just looked like someone not dressed for the weather, quite honestly. Everyone else was wearing fur coats and jackets.
If you really read into this and look close, like he's saying, Mickey and his alter ego, right? He is drawing the mouse. He is the mouse.
I don't believe that.
Look, he's got Mickey in the water, entrapped in the water. He's even got Mickey entrapped in the water. This is giving psychopath. This is giving psychopath. And he's owned by who? America. Here's the shield.
I don't know who that lady is. I don't know what she's talking about. She seems like she had a long day. Clearly, she's joking around. Maybe Walt Disney is Mickey Mouse. I don't know about that. I'm not thinking about that. I was only thinking about Mickey Mouse when I was younger. Something's going on here, guys. She was putting things together that did not exist. People have been saying a lot of things about Walt Disney for a while now, guys. For a long time. That lady, other people. But like I said, guys, that's all allegedly stuff. That doesn't mean that it's real. There's been a lot of theories about this, which is not true. Let's not forget that, guys, because people's always coming up with theories. That's just somebody's opinion, all right? Walt Disney allegedly was a good person. Opened up Disney World, did a whole bunch of movies, Disney Channel, stuff like that, guys. Something's going on with Walt Disney. Clearly that lady pointed something out. That's not true, right? But of course, guys, entertainment purposes only. Don't believe nothing that lady says. That's just a lady on the internet. Let me know what you think about this, bro, because she was putting things together that didn't make no sense, for real. I'm out.
He tells you it's nonsense, then that something's going on, then that it isn't true. To be fair, that's most of the internet these days.
So I'm going to say this fast because every time I talk about this code, Instagram shuts it down. Carbon-12 is the basis of all organic life. Every cell in your body is built on it. It has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. That's 666. Now, open up Revelations 13:18. Everyone quotes this verse, and almost nobody ever reads the original text from Greek. Rhythmos and thropou. Rhythmos means number. Thropou means of man, of humanity. Number of man, not number of evil. It's not the number of a demon. It's the number of man, of a human being. The verse literally opens with, this calls for wisdom. Wisdom, not fear. The text itself is telling you to think, not panic. So there's a thing called the magic square of the sun. Ancient mathematical grid, 6 rows, 6 columns. Every row adds to 111. Every column adds to 111. Every diagonal adds to 111. The total of the entire grid is 666. This is what the Pythagoreans called the solar number. They associated it with life, with light, with generative force. For centuries, 666 was the number of the sun, of energy, of creation. Now let's reduce it down. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. The number that never changes. We've been building the singularity at the center of the vortex system. All right, so what actually happened? You have a number that describes human biology at the atomic level. A Greek text that calls it the number of man and asks for wisdom. An ancient mathematical square linking it to solar energy. And a digital root that connects it straight back to the governing number of the vortex. And somehow, this became the number that we were all taught to fear the most. So they took the signature of your own biological architecture, the number written into every carbon atom in your body, and they turned it into a symbol of evil so you never look at it clearly, which is you. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, you are 666. And that was never a curse. That was just the blueprint of your creation. So read the Greek, do the math, ask who benefits when you fear your own composition and are afraid to go deeply inside of yourself. Thank you, and I love you.
What I think Revelation was actually saying by that is that the number of the beast is the same number of man, 666, because the beast is simply man. Hence the call for wisdom, because only people wise enough to look beyond what they are seeing literally can see it. I mean, that's just my theory.
I know that this is widely considered to be the most depressing city in all of the world, but I still actually want to visit here. This video shows several different images of a very dark and depressing looking city, and while this might look AI generated, this is actually real and it's located in Russia. The city that we're looking at here is known as Norilsk, Russia. It's pretty much cut off from the rest of civilization besides the city itself. It's in the Arctic. Now, during the wintertime, we can see coldest temperatures reaching negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit, more than negative 50 degrees Celsius. Also gets extremely dark in the wintertime, so at this point, you're probably wondering why anybody would live here in the first place. Of course, the entire reason is the industrial aspect. It's a very large mining city. As you guys can see, infrastructure really does not look very pleasant at all. This place, just generally speaking, looks very depressing.
Am I the only person to have ever existed who doesn't want to visit a single city in the world? Cities just don't appeal to me at all.
I don't sleep.
Ever? You don't sleep?
Because I work so much.
Yeah. What time do you go to bed?
I don't have a time.
Well,
wait, do you really not sleep?
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
So are you up from like, let's say it's like midnight. You're like, okay, I'm going to try to lay down and go to bed.
No.
No.
So you're never trying to lay down and go to bed?
You never get in the bed, ever?
No.
You never get into bed?
No.
Do you ever sleep when you're being driven?
No, I don't know that life.
How do you
So you're
relax?
just awake.
Huh?
How do you relax? Like, how do you, like, you have to have, like, when are you like, you know what? I'm going to
I
take a
work
deep breath.
privately, so, like, meaning my studio is my home.
Yeah.
And so
When you say
that's
you work,
relaxation for me.
are you working 24/7?
Yes.
But you nap though, right?
He does.
Yeah, because
You are writing 24/7?
I don't write.
No, he doesn't write anything.
Recording, yes.
Yeah.
Recording.
You have to understand that I signed my first contract at 11.
Yeah.
Started doing this around 7 or 8. There's not 1 second has it been a job. It's been
It's
something
like how
I
you
desired.
experience the world.
It's something I actually made a living out of it. It's still a kid in a toy store.
You're so happy.
That kid does not go to sleep.
He sounds how I feel. I also work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as many of you know, and suffer with chronic insomnia. I feel this man on a spiritual level, if that is even possible with this particular fella, but hey-ho.
And believed his wife was a witch and wanted to test his theory. So his wife comes home, sees the salt line, and she freaks out. Watch this. Right then and there, he's already letting her know, I'm on to you, so prove to me you're not a witch. Instead of proving him wrong, she just walks away. And now she knows he's on to him. Stay weird.
I'd be more worried about the bloke wasting salt on the floor to play his games like a man-child, to be honest. But why is it completely avoiding Romania? And I mean it actually diverted away from Romania altogether in its path. That's weird.
These time lapses show the very concerning ways that humans are changing the earth. Every second, a forest the size of a soccer field is lost to deforestation. In Kazakhstan, an entire sea is almost dried up and loses 31 to 35 inches a year. And we all know about melting glaciers. Greenland loses 234 billion tons of ice per year.
Yes, humans are changing the earth in a very destructive way, but not in the way they try to convince us we are. We, as in me and you, we are not the entire problem like they try to tell us we are. As someone who lives in the UK, I can't even imagine witnessing firsthand or even seeing a tornado, even at a distance.
If your whole life they told you 2 + 1 = 5, you'd believe it. You'd fight for it. You'd swear it's the truth because your teachers said it, your parents said it, your church said it. But here's the trap. Go to another land where they say 2 + 1 = 3, and you'd call them liars. You'd call them blasphemers. Not because they're wrong, but because you were programmed to believe it's 5. See, you don't defend truth. You defend the code that was written into your mind. Your subconscious is the software. Your conscious mind, just the screen. And everything you argue for is just the program, not the source. That's why most people never wake up. They never go past the screen. But if you go deeper, beyond religion, beyond belief, beyond all the scripts, you meet something they never wanted you to find. The real Christ. Not the one they sold you, not the one in stained glass. The Christ within you. The hidden code waiting to switch on.
The first half is genuinely fine. You get, taught a thing before you can weigh it. You defend it later as though you chose it, and that goes for all of us.
Anyway, for clarity, this skydiver's parachute did end up working. The person recording, though, wasn't so lucky. This video here shows, at first, what appears to be a standard skydive. This first guy jumps, the guy recording also jumps. This skydiver then pulls his parachute perfectly, and when the guy recording attempts to, things do not work out so well. Now, the man that filmed this footage here back in December of 2006 in New Zealand is Michael Holmes, an extremely accomplished skydiver. On this routine jump, Michael was filming, expecting to have a good time. When he attempted to pull his parachute, though, it ended up immediately becoming tangled, and this resulted in him spiraling out of control towards the Earth at 100 miles per hour, and him basically accepting his fate. Fate would have other plans, though. Michael would land in a berry bush and end up making essentially a full recovery.
Yikes, that could have gone a lot worse. This is one of those moments, and I'm saying this as someone who isn't a believer in any mainstream faith at all, but it's hard not to attribute this to divine intervention. It clearly wasn't his path to go out like that.
That's what this skirmish we have going on. I call it a skirmish. This is with this skirmish we have with the Islamic Republic of Iran, because they'll say, he said forget about prices. They said, despite the street, they didn't do anything, but they took care of illegal aliens, paying thousands of dollars a month in some of the most luxurious hotels in the country. It's crazy what they were doing. It's crazy. But thanks to our policies, the cost of rent is now down by more than 10% in a short period in the Atlanta area.
What a setup. I hope everyone can see how staged that was. It was almost painful. That is quite obviously a tourist site, right? I think the people here kind of give it away.
The devil is not a real entity. If you look at the inverted pentagram of the devil, you'll find these 5 Hebrew letters surrounding it, which spells the word Leviathan. Leviathan is described as a great sea serpent or dragon. As we all know, this is not a real thing. We do not have sea serpents or dragons. It symbolizes a chaotic, uncontrolled force, such as emotions. Because the human soul exists in 4 dimensions at once. On Earth, the physical body, water, the astral world, the emotions, air, the mental world, and fire, the spiritual world, the willpower. So the emotions, the uncontrolled forces, and the sea serpent represents a chaotic emotions that lead to destructive actions. That is what the true devil really is. An uncontrolled person bringing evil into the world.
You gotta appreciate the humor, right? It is funny how the occult explainer is the one saying the devil isn't a thing. Now, I don't know enough Hebrew to argue with it, so I'll leave that where it is. That is some thick, thick fog. Good grief.
They're called Gen Z because they're the last generation before they reset the simulation. There was X, there was Y, which is me, millennials, us, and then there was Z, and now there's Gen Alpha. Do you ever think who came up with these terms?
That would suggest that Gen Alpha, whose age ranges are 0 to 16, are the new generation for the new age. I don't think that's the case myself, but what do you think?
When you go to a thrift shop close to Plainfield, Wisconsin, and you find a weird lamp that looks like it's a leather skin lampshade.
It's like from the 40s.
Yeah, this is before they discovered that game.
Here.
I'm not.
Wait till you see what this looks like. It shows the designs, the way it's the different scenes.
That is pretty neat.
See all the neat scenes?
Yeah.
I mean, this is unique.
Yeah.
An antique person would be coming for this.
Yeah.
And look at this one. I feel like
Crazy.
Can you say Ed Gein?
Nuts. That's a special one.
That looks like a dead body under the tree.
Oh, Jesus.
No lie. Look.
Where?
It's so cool, though.
I mean, it's so unique.
But it's all leather?
Mm-hmm. And then this is wood, not metal. Because back then there was a shortage of metal because of the war.
No, that is not a human skin lamp. It is just a very weathered, very damaged, very old antique lamp.
The other day, I made a video talking about the theory that our world may not be shaped or structured the way we've been taught growing up. I went over the three main theories people have in contrast to the heliocentric model, which is bigger Earth theory, flat Earth theory, and inner Earth theory. Many people in the comments brought up how we have satellites bringing us images from space, which should completely debunk any ideas or thoughts that we have of the Earth being shaped differently than what we've been told. However, after a little bit of research, you will find out that all of the satellite images we get are either digitally processed, edited, or both before it hits our eyes. Some people theorize that during this time of digital processing and editing, anything that is strange or beyond the norms would be edited out and removed before we can actually see it. Another question I saw quite a few people ask was, if there's actually other civilizations and continents that we don't know about, wouldn't we see evidence of that? But what if we did see evidence of it? I mean, for decades, we've had thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of reported UFO sightings, and we've kind of been fed this narrative that these are either top secret military projects or aliens from some distant galaxy. But what if, instead of these UFOs coming from somewhere in outer space that is millions of light years away, they're simply coming from lands and continents that we don't even know exist, but are far more advanced than we are here? Leave a like if you want me to go even deeper into all this.
I can get behind this theory to an extent. I draw the line at aliens though.
I'm fully convinced that Harry Potter was directly inspired by Satan, because when you look at J.K. Rowling, she was on a podcast a long time ago basically saying that a third of the spells that she wrote in the book were done through automatic writing.
Oh, really?
And for those who don't know what automatic writing is, it's where you let a demon take over your body and write through you. When you're watching these movies that are glorifying the occult and glorifying witchcraft, a lot of people think that like the spells are just fiction, it's just fables. But these are actually being inspired by demonic spirits. And check this out too. A lot of people who end up getting into the occult, you ask them what their favorite movie was as a child, guess what they'll say?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, every time.
It's so involved in our culture, dude. It's everything, man.
Harry Potter is a cult classic for a reason, right? It's kind of in the name.
This is a UFO parking lot.
No, it's not.
That's near Area 51.
No, it's not. Now, in order to explain exactly what that is, first I needed to find your exact location, your exact flight, and your exact seat. But that wasn't going to be easy because you post a lot of videos. I mean like 6 or 7 videos a day. Now, you uploaded this video on the 24th of August, but you weren't flying on the 24th because you also uploaded this video on the 22nd of August, where you're flying back home to Pasco from San Francisco. But I couldn't understand why you're in San Francisco because you were in Hawaii that week, not San Francisco. But then I found this video, which you uploaded on the 18th of August. Now, if you'll notice, there's 2 boarding passes. The first one is from Pasco to San Francisco, and the second one I'm betting is San Francisco to Hawaii, which means that these are your flights to Hawaii, and you're probably flying back home the same way. Now, you also uploaded this video on the 20th of August, and it says tonight is movie night. So I found the hotel you were staying at, and I found out that movie night is on Mondays, which means that you recorded this video on the 18th. So you must have been going back sometime between the 19th and the 22nd of August. So I scanned all the flights from San Francisco to Pasco for those days, and look at what I found. That's the exact same field in your video. And the only flight out of all of them which matches your video angle is the one on August 21, meaning that you flew from Honolulu to San Francisco that day on flight United 1086, and around 3 hours later you took United 5491 to go back home while sitting on this exact seat, and at exactly 11:53 a.m. you flew over these center pivot farms, which are basically round farms with a rotating sprinkler. Here's what that looks like from the ground view.
And people still post every little micro detail of their lives online. It really is that easy to piece together someone's life like this.
What you are looking at right now is the deepest underwater photo shoot ever, and you are not going to believe just how much effort it actually took. Because this photo shoot was taken at the Hydro-Atlantic shipwreck off the coast of Florida, and the photographer and his model had to train for over a year to make this possible. These pictures were taken at a depth of 163 feet, breaking the world record for the deepest underwater photo shoot, but that isn't even the most insane part. This was even more impressive because it was taken below the 130-foot decompression zone for more than 10 minutes, and Sierra wasn't even wearing diving gear. The entire shoot took over 52 minutes, and in between takes, the safety team would have to come up and feed Sierra oxygen.
Keep looking at the dress. 160 feet down, no tank, 50 minutes of it, and somebody still thought about the styling. Crazy.
The thing is about pandas is there were no depictions of pandas in like ancient Chinese history.
No. Is that true?
Yeah, it is true. The idea was that maybe they were engineered to eat bamboo. Because bamboo, if you think about it, is like a very prolific plant. It's crazy how well it grows. It grows so quickly.
And there's almost no nutritional value in it either.
Right. Yeah. So here's the panda. Giant panda strikingly absent from China's classical cultural record. Unlike the dragon, which is weird, tiger, crane, or tortoise, doesn't appear on ancient bronzes or pottery, in Tang poetry, song paintings. Before the late 20th century, it had essentially no symbolic role in Chinese civilization. Its status as a national treasure is a post-1949 invention.
I see that logic, and it does make sense, though officially they lived in remote, high-altitude bamboo forests away from cultural centers, so they just meant very little to people at the time, allegedly.
I tried to work and watch a barber, but in the end, it's leaving my bed. I had to hold to it all. In the end, it's leaving my bed. I tried to work and watch a barber.
Nothing in that was banned, and nothing in it is Tartarian. A man building a frame, 2 people on early scooters, colorized as well, you know, for our viewing pleasure. Same story as ever, you know. The title does the work and the footage does little to nothing.
This Could this finally be actual footage of a fairy? It is the visual of changing. What do you guys think? Because I think it looks pretty realistic. At times, this doesn't look like AI to me. It's too long of a clip. And other times, there is a large area of pulsating light. I mean, yeah. The area surrounding each fairy is a high-frequency energy field. This is moving. Reminds me of like Legend of Zelda. A very soft, ethereal. Where like they just look like a ball of light. So. I think all those games and all this media is based on are not necessary the old world. All these creatures, these mythological creatures that used to exist around us. Perhaps they're interdimensional and constantly phasing through our reality. But were created in Elohim to serve. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think this is real.
I know, let's make a video and exclusively talk only when someone else is talking, but fairies, elves, trolls and gnomes are pretty much into the same category. I put Bigfoot and cryptids in general. It's the no pile, no being no. In my opinion, they do not exist, and there is absolutely zero evidence to say otherwise.
China is at it again, getting one step closer to building their artificial sun by completing the construction of a 582-ton magnet taller than a 6-story building. Despite the name, they aren't actually building a second sun. The magnet is designed for a nuclear fusion reactor to recreate the same process that powers the sun, but here on Earth. Essentially, unlimited clean energy forever. The machine works by heating hydrogen into ultra-hot plasma. It's over 100 million degrees Celsius. At those temperatures, there is no material on Earth that could contain it, so the plan is to suspend it in midair using these ultra-powerful magnets to prevent it from touching the walls. Commercial nuclear fusion would change the entire world. Fusion fuel is abundant, it produces no carbon emissions, and generates significantly less radioactive waste compared to our current nuclear reactors. And they just solved one of the biggest engineering challenges.
Before you buy into the conspiracies, let me tell you first that China wants an artificial sun to harness nuclear fusion, mimicking the sun's natural reactions to secure a limitless, clean and safe domestic energy source. That is all.
Nobody would have believed him if he didn't record this video. On August 12th of 2017, a disturbing video was uploaded by a man named Richard Grebenik. After many nights of seeing this pale humanoid figure resembling the Rake. Since nobody believed him, he decided to set up a camera recording his backyard, where the figure was last seen when the following is recorded.
You don't believe me? It's a freaking thing. There it is.
From the woods, Richard sees this pale humanoid being walking towards the window as he calls a priest to protect him from this entity.
Believe me, it's only one that will believe me. Hey Mike, I need you.
Hey, hard to hear you.
Alright, you're not gonna believe this. I got it on video now. It's like a weird demonic looking thing, and it's like a human.
The priest then begins to pray for Richard's safety, and we can see whatever this is reacts to the chanting and hides back into the woods.
Just pray. I mean, this people won't think they're not gonna think I'm crazy when they see this now.
Just pray?
Yeah.
He's all worked up, but God, I just come against this. I find these things right now, these evil spirits that are just harassing Rick and just coming into his yard. I find those things right now, and I command them to cease and be still, be gone.
Oh my God, there it is, Mike. It came back. Oh my gosh.
I command you to go in Jesus' name.
This thing is looking weird. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It knows something's going on, man. This thing is. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. We got disconnected.
The video was uploaded before AI, so is it a skit? Or did this man capture something we were never meant to see living in those woods? Let me know what you believe.
Every one of these hides the same detail, and this one admits it right up front because he set the camera up and pointed it at the spot first, apparently. Nobody films an empty garden for days at the exact spot something you think might happen. And whatever walked out of those woods in the footage just turned up on cue when the battery was full and the camera was right there and in focus. How this was executed was absolutely insane. Forget Prison Break, this is real. This actually happened. That was an actual question someone asked online, and 1 million people showed up in the comments to answer anything but the obvious one. People want to look deeper into something that really isn't that deep. It's a man walking a baboon, not a mythical creature, not a hybrid, not an alien, a baboon. I think that's where we should probably leave it for today, don't you? So once again, we all gathered around the mouth of the rabbit hole and we all majestically swan dived into it nose first. It wasn't to find the bottom though, it was to find the very fragile and single thread which resides within all of the static and all of the noise and extract it and practice our discernment along the way. If you enjoyed today's episode, let me know, drop a like on the video, tell me what you liked, tell me what you want to see more of, tell me what you want to see less of. If you're new and you watched all the way to this point, I hope I did earn your subscription today. If I did, make sure you hit that notification bell. But the most important thing that you can all do for me today is stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.